Temperature and pH and a couple other issues within mashing are, I wouldn't call them contentious, but they're very complex subjects that even I don't totally understand.
Alright, so you just learned all about yeast and hops. Now it's time to move on to the wort making process. Then we're getting into boiling wort.
Our process is pretty straightforward. We do a standard isothermic mash, a single stage mash, where we just take all of our grain, mix it together with hot water in our mash tun. It sits there for an hour, and then we sparge and we have wort. It's pretty basic. It's a larger version of a home brewer with a igloo cooler. But we have the ability of controlling temperature a little bit more accurately than a home brewer would, as well as pH equipment and the ability to adjust the pH more accurately than your average home brewer would, so that we can ensure more consistency. The other main difference between mashing at this scale versus homebrew mashing is what we call thermal mass. The ability of the volume of the mash to change temperature has a much stronger buffer to temperature change because it's such a large mass of warm fluid and grain. So it's less likely to change temperature over the hour-long or even longer mash than a home brewer would. So even our test batch system, which is relatively similar-ish to the our full-scale kit, 10 gallons, single layer of stainless steel will easily lose even 10-15 degrees if we didn't temperature adjust it. Whereas our full-scale system, we could probably leave it for maybe hour and a half, 2 hours before we'd see a temperature change. Temperature and pH and a couple other issues within mashing are, I wouldn't call them contentious, but they're very complex subjects that even I don't totally understand. But there is a relationship of pH, other chemical constituents of the water, and wort color and temperature and mash ratio that affect fermentability. But basically the easiest rule of thumb is the lower the temperature, the more fermentable your wort's going to be within a certain range. And if you go higher or lower, you're gonna decrease fermentability. Lower, you increase fermentability. And because we're doing a lot of low alcohol beer, it can very easily ferment out to a point of dryness that we really don't want to hit. So it's critical for us to hit our target pH ranges and our target temperature range for a given beer style, so that the beer doesn't end up too dry. In which case, like the beer can taste washed out or watery or not have enough body. Say we do that to our stout, it can become brown water after a certain point if it ferments too low. It's a larger version of a home brewer with a igloo cooler. But we have the ability of controlling temperature a little bit more accurately than a home brewer would, as well as pH equipment and the ability to adjust the pH.